Sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed.
Morning, my love. Good morning. It's time to go out. It's time to wakey wakey. Hi. Come on, let's go. Good morning. Good morning.
Waking up every morning and not going into the office and instead working from home, creating YouTube videos and TikTok videos and thinking about recipes for my next cookbook, it's all sort of surreal and wonderful and also, to be honest, terrifying. When I first told my mom that I was quitting my full-time job to be a content creator and author, she was adamantly opposed to it. And I was surprised. For nearly 2 decades, she didn't question any of my career choices, but I guess in retrospect, why would she? I was the Korean parent's dream, lawyer, steady paycheck, 401k. In many ways, my life was the exact opposite of the life that had been projected for her when she was in high school.
I'm running 8 miles today.
Today? 8?
Yeah.
Whoa, why?
I mean, why?
Got a marathon?
What's my long run?
Ah. Why don't you run 2 and go to Waterfall Glen with me?
Tomorrow?
Yeah. You could do 1 loop.
So I was going to run my long run today, which is normally what I do. I run my long runs on Friday, but Anthony is going to Waterfall Glen tomorrow, which is sort of like a forest preserve park type thing with a really nice trail. 1 loop is over 9 miles. He's doing that tomorrow and he invited me to join him. So in lieu of doing my long run today, I'm going to do my long run tomorrow and just run 3 miles today. Honestly, that makes better sense since I did run not long, but a little bit longer on Wednesday, which is 5 miles. And that way, this gives my legs a chance to fully recover before adding too much more mileage right on top of it. And also, this means you don't have to see the same boring lakefront path on my run again. You will today, but tomorrow you'll see something different.
It's a complete waste of time. What? Boston Marathon training. We're just getting your legs moving. We're going to do something very special this year, though. I promise you that. Feeling very confident. This is week 1 of 18.
Because you don't want to peak at the wrong
I know,
time.
that's why I'm running slow. That's what's wrong with you.
You're running with me?
No. We're just building a little base, a little foundation. It's very nice out. Hey, I have an idea today. Let's have a...
My mother's parents couldn't afford to send her to school, so she dropped out before graduating high school to work with her parents. Luckily, a teacher who recognized my mother's potential invested in her, paid for her uniform, books, and shoes. She managed to graduate but couldn't afford college, so she went to work for an underwear factory, embroidering women's panties. And even this would have been a major step up for her family, but life had other plans. Once more, a high school teacher plucked her out of the undergarment plant and encouraged Omma to go into nursing school, which she did. She graduated and applied for a visa program to the United States. I've told this story many times because, well, it's my favorite story, and it happened right here on the lakefront path. Omma arrived in the US with $800, all the money she could save after 2 years of working as a nurse in Korea. In order to obtain that visa, she needed to pass the boards in English. Omma barely knew English well enough to order a cup of coffee, but she studied every single night in this tiny 1-bedroom studio apartment she rented with her best friend. That apartment? It's right here, just a couple blocks from where I live today. Long story short, she didn't pass her boards. She called her dad on the payphone and managed to blurt out, "Daddy, I failed," before she started sobbing into the phone. And I can imagine how Omma felt. I remember when I took the bar exam, I was convinced I'd failed. It was the hardest test I'd ever taken, and I called my mom sobbing right after I walked out of the testing room. Now, I didn't fail. I somehow passed. But in the months between taking that test and the exam results, I was mentally preparing myself for how my entire future would collapse around my ears. You see, my mom had so much more than her own pride on the line. She was supposed to pass that test, make enough money to send home, and ultimately bring her mom, dad, and husband to the U.S. on her visa. Now, she would have to return home a failure. Her dad said all the right things. "You're not a failure. We love you. You are welcome home anytime." But then he said, "Sonny, if you come home now, you might regret it for the rest of your life." When she got off the phone with her dad, she turned to Lake Michigan, where she would eventually meet someone who would change her life.
I'm gonna try wearing my hair down more often. My friend Neiman said that my hair is really nice and maybe I should wear it down more often, so I'm gonna try that. What do you guys think? Should I wear it down? It gets in my face so much while I work, and then when I cook I need it out of the way, obviously, but maybe when I'm neither cooking nor running, I can try and keep it down more.
So after getting off the phone with her dad, she went to Lake Michigan, right on the lakefront path. And as she strolled down the path that wintry day, an old vagrant started walking towards her. Omma had no money. She had no money to spare because she now needed to think about whether or not she had enough money to fund another round of exams. But this old beggar woman, she continued walking towards my mother, and within minutes, she stuck her hands out beneath my mother's nose and asked, "Ma'am, do you have some change for a cup of coffee? It's so cold."
Look who I found.
Where did you find him?
Yeah, he was looking for me. Hi, Rude.
So he found you.
Rude, you look good in your Christmas sweater. Nice. What if I told you about that? Hashtag me too.
Relax.
Mr. Barrow.
Mr. Barrow.
Sit down. What are all the nicknames for Rudy?
Mr. Barrow.
Mr. Barrow, Maestro,
Maestro. Rudels.
Rudels,
Rudino.
Rudino. Yeah, that's a favorite. I had a Korean name for him. What was it?
I don't know.
Rudy, what was your Korean name again? Oh, Rudy, I know, it's confusing. Wow. How excited are you about the present that I've gotten you for Christmas?
I'm so excited. I don't know what it is,
Of course you don't know.
but I'm very nervous now because I've literally gotten you one thing. And while I like it, it's not like spectacular.
Mine is definitely spectacular. I'll settle for a poem. No, I don't want poetry. I never understand what you're saying. You just throw a bunch of big words. All you poets, you just throw shit together.
That
Like,
is
God,
not true.
Nobody can really understand it.
That is not true.
No, I'm just kidding.
Omma looked at the woman, her gray hair framing a deeply wrinkled face. She was bent over to the wind, but Omma could see a pair of beautiful blue eyes peering at her. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the change she'd been holding and poured it into the old woman's hands. And before she could pull her hand back, the woman grabbed it up and looked her straight in the eyes. Her hands were as cold as ice, and she said to my mom, "You're going to pass that test."
Anyhow,
Look at this guy.
he's back.
Look at my beautiful boy.
Mr. Barrow. It's gorgeous here in Chicago today. I'd say about 50 degrees, maybe a little less.
It is
40s.
quite lovely. Quite lovely.
Sun's out. And we're going to take a stroll down beautiful Broadway here in Lakeview East.
And true to the prophet's words, she passed her test, got a job, brought her husband, parents, sister, and brother here to the United States, both of whom now have families of their own in Chicago. I think about this story a lot when I run along the lakefront path, and each time I turn it over in my head, I learn something new. Today, Omma's story reminds me that it can be awfully tempting to define ourselves by our failures. We become so wrapped up in avoiding failure that we allow our path to be determined by avoiding it. Omma took a risk. She left the underwear factory, pursued nursing, came to the United States, and when she hit that roadblock, she was tempted to turn right around and go back home to Korea. But instead, thanks to a little nudge from her fairy godmother, she bounced back, tried again, and passed, thus defining herself not by her failure, but by her response to failure. And that's the thing. When I was contemplating leaving my job and trying this thing as the Korean vegan, I did play out the worst case scenarios. What if I lost everything? What if I totally failed? And the prospect of that was very scary. But I looked back at all of the other failures I had endured and realized that in each case, I was able to bounce back. And it was then that I knew that no matter what happens with the Korean vegan or anything else I'll try, I'll be okay. I might not have a perfect track record of success, but I do have the perfect track record of getting back up. I was a little hurt by my mother's reaction when I told her I was going to quit being a full-time partner and to be a content creator and writer. I was 42 years old after all. Didn't I deserve a chance to be happy, to do something I loved, instead of grinding away for another 2 decades? So finally, I said to her, "Omma, I know you're worried, and I understand why you are, but don't you have any faith in me at all?" She was quiet for a bit, and she answered, "Yes, yes I do, and yes, you deserve a chance to be happy." And I wonder if for just a second, she was standing on the lakefront path with me, watching the back of an old homeless woman shrinking into the cold.